Hello, everybody. This is Gynarchic Awakening. For some reason, one of the apps that I'm using is either down or it's having trouble displaying some kind of data, yada yada yada. Therefore, I decided to do a video instead. And this one is going to be on hopelessness as a Gynarchist, the feeling of hopelessness. How do you handle this? I think I will have to provide you with a whole lot more context so you understand it. So, first of all, it is extremely difficult, I've come to find, to connect with Gynarchists that have serious thoughts, serious motivations, and who are willing to engage with others in a serious manner. Uh, it's unfortunately the way of things. It doesn't matter what app you use, what website. Take your pick. It's always difficult to locate one of them. And then from that crop of candidates, you come to find you find another difficult truth. And I remember watching some kind of weird video the other day. They like using like the voices of supervillains or something. I don't know, but something stuck out to me about that speech. It was that, and I'm paraphrasing here. There's plenty of people that are more than happy to benefit from the the work that other people put in. In other words, they want the benefit of a gynarchy or gynocentric community or whatever. They want all that. But how many of them are going to put in the work? And this is kind of where we get into a bit of personal subject matter, because I struggle with this constantly, where I want to be able to connect with my community, but at the same time, I worry about alienating them and putting too much on them that they're not ready for. In other words, I have a bunch of different ideas and concepts that I know would spread gynocentrism if people would work with me. At the same time, I also know that part of having a community is just being there for other people. So I'm kind of stuck in a moral dilemma. On one hand, I want to criticize more, I want to push more because I have personal goals and these goals relate to the growth of the community. On the other side of that aisle, I don't know who I'm dealing with necessarily. Like, these people could just be discovering themselves. It's not fair to impose on somebody who is in a period of discovery. It's just not right, is what I'm saying. People need time to self-develop. But that being said, I do think that there is a need to show respect as well, to be kind, and I worry that being excessively critical of others is no different to some in their interpretation of that as to being mean or cruel. And so I feel like I'm kind of tossed between, I want community and I want things for the community, but at the same time, I don't want to feel so alone anymore. I wonder if anyone else has ever faced a similar dilemma where, like, they really want to put like a fire up under the asses of some of these people, to get them motivated. But at the same time, you also just need people to talk to. You want to talk to people about things, and there is a wisdom in not pushing too hard. But I think that there's also wisdom in pushing far too little. So I struggle in my life to find a balance between those things, because I don't even know what people are capable of. Like, for example, if I were to do a Gynarchy video and say, okay, how many people can do this? How many people do that? How many, like, what are people involved in? Because all I would need is about 5 to 10 people, and we could create a gynocentric textbook for the entire planet, or at least for the Western Hemisphere. It would not be difficult at all. The problem is finding people who are qualified. In other words, people who produce textbooks, academic people, individuals and academics who have sufficient knowledge, uh, individuals who have done the actual research and who teach it in their classes. This can be difficult because you have one of two options. If you're not finding the people who can fill the positions, then you either need to fill the position yourself or you need to find other people to. I also think that there's this sort of back in the mind concern that most human beings won't voice in their heads, which is, how do I trust this person isn't going to run away with my ideas and not give me any credit and take all the money for himself or herself or whatever? I genuinely feel like that's a problem. I don't think that's a healthy mentality and mindset to have when you are attempting to cooperate or collaborate with people. I think that there would have to be an agreement that a woman in the group is the beneficiary. See, that's the thing. I don't care if I get paid or not. I'm already applying for work. That's not my concern. My concern is, and it's based on what a woman said. A woman said, whenever you type up Gynarchy, mostly it's porn or fetishistic artwork. Great. So what the fuck are we going to do about it? The only person who's ever done anything significant in that regard is Viola Voltaire. Everybody else is trailing in her shadow. Period. And so what we need is more gynocentric academic work, more curriculum, more things that kind of go into the details about all these different societies. And you can't do that unless you're willing to collaborate, because it's very difficult to create an academic work. And usually it involves collaboration of at least two or more highly educated people. And not all of us are highly educated. Some of us are just discovering it or still going through the motions. And so, is it ethical or moral to begin writing a textbook with people when you're not even sure what their level of knowledge is? Probably not. But at the same time, you have to meet the demands of a project, and that requires compromising, pulling things a little bit here and there to make it work. And all you need is a few people. Like, there's several different ideas and thoughts that could easily be used to put out more information that could find its way in the public. And I think that, that's why I still have hope that I will find those individuals. Like, my hope isn't necessarily that I will find the people who want to have community with me. That's certainly something to look forward to. But my hope is that I'll find people who are knowledgeable, who have skill sets that we can collaborate and work on. And again, like I said, I don't care about making the money. I just want to contribute to the community. And I think other people want the same. And if a bunch of us got together and we sat down and we worked on this, I think it would be of the benefit to not just us, but to people who are on the fence, or those who are afraid or don't want to show their faces on camera. You have any ideas how many times I've heard the words "you're brave" or "you're courageous" for getting on camera and doing this? That shows you that they're afraid. They're scared of putting their faces on camera, and I don't blame them. But I've accepted life and death, so I don't give a fuck. When you get to a certain age, right? Like when you're a 32-year-old, people in my family have had aneurysms, other nasty things have happened to them. I'm not going to concern myself with somebody coming into my home in the middle of the night and shooting me or whatever. No, I'm just expressing myself and living my most authentic self. And that's how I look at it. I look at it like either you try to live your most authentic self or you don't. Courage, these other words, they don't really play as much into the equation as that. Because if I can't do that, I'm not really living my life now, am I? So one way I handle this is I try to think about, okay, maybe I just need to connect with more people. Maybe I need to find more people, network more. That's one solution, how you deal with the hopelessness. The other thing is to realize that maybe you need to put in the additional work to learn how to do the things. Like, because again, I said it in the previous video regarding art, and the same thing applies here. If you wait for somebody else to come along, you could be waiting a while. I'm very tempted to just do the gynocentric textbook myself if I have no choice. And part of making a gynocentric textbook uh, would naturally involve a lot of writing. But I think that with some serious feedback from the community, we could build something far, far, far better. And that's my personal opinion on it. I don't know exactly how much we would be able to, I would be able to do on my own, but I know that if I wait around for other people, I could be waiting my entire life, and I don't know if I want to do that. And I don't know if any other Gynarchist has found themselves in that position. Are you in a position where you're like, okay, these people say they want Gynarchy, they say all this stuff, but they're not willing to get their hands dirty, they're not willing to bust their ass and collaborate on an art project or an academic project or possibly an economic project. Like none of these things um, get brought up. In other words, stuff that would require a person to take action. And I think partially that's because people already have the responsibilities, they have things going on in their life. And so it's just easier to, I guess, think in their minds, well, there's got to be somebody else who's doing it. And at some point, you have to realize, you know what? I need to be the guy that everybody else basically wants me to be, anyways. In other words, the one who's going to do it. That's going to take the heat, take the arrows, take the bullets, who takes the risk, but also the one who puts that information out there for the public to consume. Because it'll take several revisions, several drafts. I don't know if everybody will be happy about it, but once it's finally done, that's when I know I've done my job. And that's what gives me hope, is when I am faced with the hopelessness of seeing people who want to talk about it. They talk a good game, but are they going to do anything? I'm already a published author, so I put stuff out there that I write, and I write what I put out. I have published fan fiction. I have a verse novel. I do what I do. I have another book that I published a while back, but I've since unpublished it for personal reasons. But what gives me hope is that telling myself that you can do it. Sometimes you have to tell yourself you can do it. You have to have a conversation with yourself and say, no one is going to do it. Even if that's not true, you have to tell yourself that no one's going to do it. You need to step the fuck up. You step the fuck up and you be the woman, the man, whoever that gets the job done. Sometimes that's what it takes. You have to be willing to self-motivate. You got to motivate yourself. You got to tell yourself that if you don't do it, no one's going to do it. Because chances are, 9 times out of 10, especially when it comes to the academic projects, the art projects, the economic projects, you're probably right. So even if it's not technically true, it helps to motivate you, because being the first person at the door is kind of a good feeling. It's like, well, I'm here, but it looks like nobody else is coming. So you turn the knob and you walk through. You don't wait for a line to form. You do it yourself. In other words, when other people make you feel hopeless because you're waiting, you got to think, why do you feel hopeless? You have to first identify what is causing your hopelessness. Are you feeling hopeless because you don't feel like you can accomplish something? Or are you feeling hopeless because you keep searching for other people to collaborate with and no one wants to come on board? Once you identify the cause, the reason for your hopelessness, then you can evolve past that state of mind and take action. Take control of your destiny, whatever that happens to be. Anyways, I hope that you all have a great day. Please take care of yourselves out there. It's a crazy world.